Hey everybody, I'm finally back after a long time, so let's get started, shall we? For this, this is going to be my first vehicle in this channel, so for this, we're going to do a Goliath rock grinder for genestealer colts. So you may notice I did some markings off camera, but don't worry, that's pretty much just a minor detail. So you may notice it's mostly gray. I dry brushed some parts off camera, so let's get the rest of it done. So for this, we're going to take Celestial Gray. So what we're going to do is this. So shake out the paints like always. Okay, just take some Celestial Gray and just put a little bit under your dry brush. I like to use an old makeup brush because it does a little better. So dry brushing, we're going to take a paper towel and wipe off most of the paint. Literally almost all, literally barely any paint. Alright, now what we do is simple. So you focus on the flat parts or on the edges, and then you simply just flick the brush back and forth. Circular motions if you want. What I like doing side to side for this vehicle is to get a nice dirty finish, which is good because this is a mining vehicle. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that's the gray dry brush done. So for the other parts, we're going to focus on maybe on the metallic details. So for this, let me just dry off my brush real quick. What we're going to use is something simple. Is very simple. So let me make sure I got the right base coat for it. Let's see. Oh, here it is. For the metallic details, we're going to base coat them with iron hand steel. You could of course use lead belcher, but I'm just using iron hand steel just for this tutorial. So there's quite a bit of metallic on here, but don't worry, I'll show you just where it is. So take some silver, and we're just going to put it on my table. Don't worry, just so for all the metallic details, this part on the drill dozer, do not do that. So you just want to paint the blades with iron hand steel. And don't worry if it gets messy. Don't worry, you can just fix it up later. And we're not going to paint the blades right in the middle of the blade here. We'll do that in just a second. So, rest of the metallic details. So, what we're going to do is going to paint all the rest of the metallics. So, for right here, inside the wheels like so. The two front wheels, the two back wheels are missing, but don't worry, I'll find them later. There we go. Alright, last few metallic details are pretty simple. The gun barrel and the heavy mining laser, depending on what you arm them with. Let me just turn it around for the camera. Okay, there we go. And also the paneling, and also the flooring. So for right here, look on the flooring right here. No railing, and the railing. And also there's some explosives right here. See? Right here. I'm going to show you how you paint the wires in a second. It's going to be a good effect. Make sure you get all the metal parts first. And also just this little vent right here. So let me make sure I got enough fine point on this brush. Alright, that's all the silver done. Alright, so let me just wash off my brush real quick. Keep in mind, always change your water pots after a while when you're using metallics, or else they'll stain the other paints. Now, the tarp with the extra explosives, as you can see, are base coated with Celestial Gray off camera, but don't worry, we're gonna shade it right now. So, we're gonna use just a simple shade. So let me just make sure I find it real quick, so I make sure I have the right one. Pop the green white. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so for this, we're going to apply a contrast paint we're going to apply a wash. Nolan oil. This is the new Nolan oil, so just keep that in mind. And we are going to reuse the Nolan oil later for the metallics, but I'm just letting the metallics dry for right now. So, take some Nolan oil after you shake it up, and apply it all over the tarp. Let me put the model back down. So, for right here. Actually, let me get a bigger brush. I'm sorry. Alright, so that's the tarp shaded. Alright, now we're gonna focus on the back of the dozer again. So for this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the yellow parts. So for the center dozer, it's basically just yellow. So I base coat with gray. Now we're gonna return to our base coat. For this, we're gonna use Uriel yellow. Uriel yellow is a layer paint, so you do need a couple thin coats, but don't worry, it is well worth the time. So get the model back out. I'm gonna have to hold the model upside down so you can see it. So, model upside down, right all the way around. Take some Uriel yellow, put it on the table. Little water. Make sure it's not too much water, not too much paint. Perfect. All right, so now focus on the drill dozer blades, and we're gonna paint it all with the yellow. And it may seem weird, but don't worry, it has black and white, it has the hazard markings on these right there. Alright, so that's the yellow done. Now you may notice I did some red and blue and some green off camera, but those are just custom markings. I'm just showing you the standard. So let's get started. Alright. My metallics are almost done, so I'm gonna show you how to paint something else. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna base coat the gas can right here. Yeah, it has a little gas can right here. So for this, we're gonna start painting it. So right here, we're gonna use a red. We're gonna use a red. We're gonna use corn red for a base coat. So look at some corn red. Get this out of the pot. Put it right next to here. You know what? We'll mix it with the yellow. Let's mix it with the yellow. Mix it with a little bit of the Uriel yellow from earlier, and it gets a nice, like dark red, like dark scarlet, like very dark scarlet. You can barely see the difference, but that's just perfect. All right, so now onto the gas can. So base coat all over the gas can. You'll see it's slightly brighter than the original corn red, but don't worry, that's completely fine. It has the nice gas can color. And up again, this is just going to be battle ready, so I'm just going to show you like paints and washes, and that's it. And the straps on it are probably separate, but don't worry, you just can keep it as is. It looks very cohesive. There we go, that's the gas can done. Alright, so, with the metallic almost dry, now we're going to focus on the fun detail I was telling you guys about. So, for this, let me just dry off my brush. Perfect. Alright, so now, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the wires right here on the explosives. So, for this is actually going to be fun. So, for this, we're going to take a Baden Black. So, make sure I have some. Shake over your paints. A little bit on the palette. Thin it down just a little bit because the wire that we're painting doesn't need very much. So right here, basically what we're going to do is this. So for the bigger wire right here, we're going to paint using the black. You can barely see it, but don't worry, it looks awesome. There we go. Alright, so now with the black done, now we're going to focus on painting the colored wires, and we're going to use 4 different colors. So for this, what we're going to do is something very simple. For the first wire, we're going to use a bright red. So for this, we're going to use Evil Sun Scarlet. So So what we're going to do is this. So right here, paint the individual wire, the first individual wire red. Let me hold that up closer to the camera. There you go. There you go. Alright, wash the red off. So now we're going to go with a blue wire. For this, we're going to use a different kind of blue. So let me just make sure I find it. Ah, here it is. We're going to use Araman blue. So put my Araman blue over here. Let me go into the Araman blue. Just very, very, very little. You don't need to thin this because it's very little paint. So watch this. We're going to paint this wire blue. Alright, then we're going to go back to Euro yellow for that wire. There we go, that's the third wire. And now we're going to paint the fourth wire. You can use anything for the fourth wire. You can do orange, purple, or any other colors. But for this, I'm going to use green. So for this, we're going to use moot green. So check your paints like always. There we go. And just here, we're going to paint the fourth wire. There we go. There we go. That's the wires on the explosives done. So for right now, all we're going to do is going to focus painting on something else. So with the shades now dry, with the metallics now dry, we're finally going to shade them. For this, we're going to go back to Nolan oil. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to start shaking up the wash. So for right here, take some Nolan oil. And here we're going to put all over the metallics. Make sure you grab a good amount of this and just put all over the metallics. And also for the gas can. Alright, there we go. That's the Nolan oil done. But for right now, we're also going to focus on one other detail, and that's going to be the drill dozer blade. May seem weird putting Nolan oil, but it also gives a nice grungy effect that we're looking for. After all, again, this is a mining vehicle, so yes, it makes sense for it to be all grungy. Alright, there we go. Let me hold it under the light so you can see it with the camera. There we go. See? Nice and grungy. Alright, so you just need to paint those blades with metallic and you'll be all done. So then again, those are the minor details of the Goliath rock grinder. I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I hope to see you again in the future. Bye-bye.